This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Dean Whyte. Dean, how are you doing?
How you doing, pal? I'm all good, man. I'm all good.
Good to hear. Now, obviously, it's Joshua-Usyk fight week. We've had a few of the events go on. We've just had the press conference finish earlier on. What did you take away from today and, of course, the workout a couple of days ago?
You know what? It was quite a quiet, chilled one. Joshua didn't give too much away. He's a humble guy. That's what his monarch is, and he seemed quite chilled and relaxed. At the media, you know what I looked at is he looks slim, he looks sleek, he looks sharp. He looks like he's lost a considerable lot of weight. I saw a picture of him earlier, and it was a comparable when he was a lot more muscular. I can't remember when that was, and there was a comparable with him recently. But you can see in his shape, but he looks fluid, he looks sharp, and his footwork looks, he looks good. I think since the loss to Andi Ruiz, we've seen that he's a bit more nimble on his feet and so on, and he's prepared to use more boxing skills and ability and use the ring to get the win. But yeah, it was a quiet affair. We saw the Joker, you might as well call him the Joker, trying to use mental warfare and use mind games. He come in his red suit and his green tie. You know what I mean? All he needed was the white face paint, and then he would have been the Joker. Look, he's the guy that's using everything at his arsenal and anything in his power to kind of get into Joshua's mind subtly. You know what I mean? It's those kind of things that kind of trigger people, and he's like, he just does that thing, what he says, what does he say? He makes that noise, I can't remember what he does. What is it, Joshua, whatever he does some crazy shit, like that. So, but look, Usyk, make no bones about, even if there's comedy and there's jokes and the Joker, he's a hell of a fighter, and he's going to come and bring it Saturday night.
What are you expecting from his fight on Saturday night, Dean? As we're talking about the weight, people saying AJ looks a bit leaner. Naturally, Usyk coming up from cruiser, his third fight at heavyweight, will have put a bit of weight on. Do you see a noticeable difference from the Usyk from his last fight, which is aura, to this one? And then, of course, do you think AJ is looking a bit leaner? And if so, why do you think they've adopted those stances going into Saturday night?
I think, for me, Usyk's adapted that style because he was in a hell of a fight with Derek Chisora, and he felt the war. He felt War Chisora at his finest. Shit. Yeah, saying that. Yeah, he felt War Chisora at his finest, his strengths, his bullying, the power, being welcomed to the heavyweight division, getting punched on the hip, the shoulders. Wherever Derek landed, he made his shot at home. And Derek, his sheer force and bruteness, he made it count in that ring. And you saw the marking on his face after the fight. So I think that was an introduction. That was a real true introduction to the heavyweight division. But saying that, I don't know if that fight's going to have any bearing on the fight, because it's going to be a different totally kind of thing, because Derek Chisora doesn't fight your normal orthodox boxing style, and Joshua is a bit more clinical, jab, 1-2, uppercut, right, left hook, that kind of thing. So we're going to see a different chess match, but it's definitely going to be a chess match because both guys, they're both students of the game. One's a southpaw, one's orthodox. They both know how to use the ring, and their IQ is very, very high. So I think it's going to be a high-level chess match, and I feel like, the man to make the first mistake is the man that's going to be punished severely, because there's a lot riding in this. For Joshua, it's the chance to get the unification or undisputed fight with Fury down the line. And then Usyk has everything on the line, because this is his golden moment. But saying that, it's a golden moment, but they got a rematch clause, so he's got two golden moments. 2 golden tickets, Willy Wonka.
Is that a surprise to you, Dean, for a mandatory challenger to have a rematch clause?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. I was going to say something, but I'll keep that to myself. But it is a strange one. It is a strange one. That would say something, or someone somewhere has some reservations, and they thought they'd make sure they put that stipulation in there. But then yet again, that's going to hold up the other fights because of that rematch stipulation, because if that fight does happen, that's going to be another 4 to 6 months, and then the rest of the fights start to get pushed back over time and years. So it's interesting, you know what I mean?
AJ said earlier he sees his fight as a 50-50, he sees Fury Wilder 3 as a 50-50. Just on AJ Usyk, is it a 50-50 in your opinion?
I think it's a very, very, very close fight. It's closer than a lot of people think it would be. But yet again, look, Usyk has put on a lot of weight. He looks like his neck looks bigger, his head looks a bit bigger, he actually looks a bit more muscular. It seems that there's the few months since he fought Chisora that he's he's went and done it the right way, put on the muscle, a slow, consistent way, longer duration, so he fills into the heavyweight division in good fashion, so he can utilize his body and his functional muscle. You know what I mean? So he looks like he still looks similar. He moves well. His shot selection. He didn't give too much away, but look, if you watch boxing, you understand that you can pick up little things. I don't think Anthony Joshua gave anything away, but for me, he just looked a little bit more sleeker. He looked quite sharp, quite faster, because obviously he's lost quite a little bit of muscle. So both guys are looking at different things. He was looking at it from the aspect he didn't feel as strong in the Chisora fight, and he's probably thinking, well, this is a smaller guy, this is the faster guy, so maybe he'll be faster. So he wants to match him equally for fast, because speed equals power in the end anyway. So I feel like, Joshua's thinking maybe if I can catch him with my 1-2s, but he's a southpaw. It's going to listen, like, he set a lot of traps in that Bellew fight if we go back and look at that. And in the end, he managed to get Bellew later down the line. So we're going to kind of look and see a similar thing. He's going to be trying to set traps, just like Joshua's going to try and set traps. But I think, they're going to be smart, both of them, and they're going to keep resetting, readjust, so the other man can't set his trap. So it's going to be a cagey kind of affair. Maybe we could see Usyk step on the gas and come forward like he did in the Bellew fight, but it probably won't be a wise idea, because Joshua's a lot bigger and stronger than, and he punches a lot harder than Bellew. Even on the bomber, he's a big puncher in his time. You know what I mean?
Moving forward, Dean Whyte has a new foe now. He's facing Whyte-Wallin on October 30th. We did an interview about 2 days before that fight was announced. All the talk was about Chris Arreola, Jermaine Franklin, and it ended up being Whyte-Wallin. So can you update us as to where Whyte-Wallin came from?
There's a curveball, man. They threw a curveball, these guys. I think we did an interview with Eddie yesterday, and he was saying, well, everything was more or less agreed with Arreola, and he just went missing. That's what it said. So obviously they had to look at the table and look who was out there. And obviously if you're looking at the other guys, the giants of the division, all of them are like 6'5", 6'4", 6'6" plus. So if you're talking about fighting the likes of Tyson Fury, why not fight one of his guys he's fought before, who he had a lot of trouble with, who he got injured in the process fighting, and try and see if you can better the win that he got. You know what I mean? So I think that's the aspect how it really came along. It's a real tough fight. It's another southpaw. It's a very difficult and tricky fight. A lot of people, I hear fans saying 1 or 2 rounds. I'm not sure if they seeing if it was Otto or the Wallin, which guy they're looking at. But he is a student of the game, knows how to box, got ring craft, knows how to use his feet, and he kind of does some nice stuff in there. He's rough, he's tough, he's rugged, and he's gonna come. This is his lottery. This is his golden ticket. Like I was just talking about the golden ticket for Usyk 2 fight. This is his world championship. This is a position and an opportunity to put himself in pole position, because if he beats Dillian, he's in to be number 1, in the world, in the rankings, to fight for a world title. The Can man, as always, puts himself in there in the position, all these tough fights. He's never going to sit on the sideline and wait. But I think the best Dillian Whyte is the active Dillian Whyte, who continues to fight and fight the best, because I think, as we've talked about over the years, he didn't have an extensive amateur career, so he's learning on the job. So, this is it again. He's going to go and put it all on the line. Obviously, the team's got to go and set out a great game plan, and I'm confident they'll go and do the job. But it is no easy feat, and it's not a foregone conclusion. Nothing in the heavyweight division is a foregone conclusion.
Alan Babbage versus Lucas Brown announced for that undercard. What's your thoughts on it, Dean? Because certainly over social media, it's had a fair bit of criticism, because Alan Babbage has been seen as he's been knocking his opponents out relatively early throughout his career so far, and Lucas Brown, he's been getting stopped, and of course got stopped in the first round in his last fight. So what have you made of, not just for criticism, but what do you make of the fight?
The funny thing is, for me, it's like, I think it's a great name, but the problem we have is it's a great name, but he's been losing quite a lot often, you know what I mean? So in the grand scheme, on paper it looks good, it's a credible name if you win, but then because he's been losing a lot, it's not. Because remember, he's a former world champion, a regular world champion, so if you've got someone like that on your resume, it stands in good stead. But then it's been discredited because he has lost a former football player and some other people and other stuff, Dean,
obviously I know you're in a rush, you just bumped into Lawrence Kohler you need to have a chat with, so just to quickly try and wrap this up. A couple of days ago we saw Canelo Alvarez and Canelo-Plant engage in a little altercation, shall we say, at their face-off. What did you make of that?
Do you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm a big fan of both guys, but that slip and counter was mad. You see that shit? What the hell? But you know it's mad. If you ever, what's the word? I love what Carl Froch, pulling and shoving a tug. What Carl Froch says, if you have that, you must expect a punch back. So you're walking straight onto someone who was, there was an aggressor and they pushed you. You should know that there's going to be some kind of counter, and you should have been prepared. But look, it makes for an interesting, intriguing fight, and it's going to be explosive. He seems very, very confident. Hopefully that confidence leads to something. I'd like to see Canelo test. I'm a big fan of Canelo. He's someone where you show what hard graft and hard work does, and what you put in is what you get out. So let's see what happens, you know what I mean? But I really want him tested because I want to see, if someone can push him, if someone can better him, because there's no one hasn't bettered him and no one hasn't figured out the jigsaw puzzle since Mayweather.
Right, Dean, we'll leave that there now because I know you've got to shoot off, so I appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking to Boxing
worries,
Social.
my bro. Thanks again. Cheers.